Let's complete the settings page by saving the user preferences. So when the user exits the app, their preferences will remain in place. We can do that by using shared preferences, which allows for persistent storage of simple data. So exactly what we want. So as per usual, we'll copy the dependency in the pubspec file, paste that in, and run pubget. So to save the preferences, we'll go to Settings Notifier, and in the Update Display Options method, we can remove this print function. We can use Shared Preferences. So the first step is to get an instance of Shared Preferences. And we're using a callback here because we need to await a future. So when that future is ready, we can run this code here. So we'll use prefs. I'll change this name from value to prefs. That'll be our instance of Shared Preferences. And we can set bool. So we can set a bool, save that to the device with a key value pair. The key can be display option name, because this needs to be a string, and the value will be is toggled. So we'll pass in what's passed into this method is toggled. So the second step is we need to retrieve that information when the app restarts. So to do that, we'll create a method. So in methods, we'll name this update preferences on restart. So we need to update settings notifier, the map inside settings notifier, when we restart the app. So first of all, we'll get an instance of settings notifier. So provider of set listen to false. Store this in a variable. And we need an instance of a build context, so we'll make this a required parameter. So the next thing is we need to actually retrieve the data that was stored to the device. So again, we use shared preferences, and again get instance, then. So inside here, we'll again change this to prefs to make it a bit clearer. So prefs get bool. So this time we want to get it via the key. So now we need to get the key, and to do that we can loop through the 3 entries in the map in settings notifier. So these 3 entries. So we'll create a for in loop to do that. For var e in settings notifier display options entries. So this will loop through all of the entries, so the 3 entries. We'll cut this here, paste this in, and the key will be the entry key dot name. Then we'll store the result in a variable. And then the final thing is to update settings notifier with that information. So settings notifier, display options, update. So update via the key. So this is using the entry.key and then the value. So the value will be the result that we get back. Now we do have an error here, and that's because we could potentially get back null if there's no key. So therefore we'll do a null check. If result does not equal null, then we'll update settings notifier. So if there is already a key saved, then we'll update. Otherwise, this won't run here. Okay, so we've now created this method. We need to call this method. So let's call it from the main. So when the app first starts, all right, and now we can test it. So let's change this. We'll put show pinion as false and test listing as true. Let's restart the app. And cool, that's now stayed in place. So we're now able to save the user preferences. And lastly, let's clear share preferences when we click the reset button. So we'll create another method, clear preferences. So again, we need to access shared preferences, get instance, then change value to prefs. Inside here, we want to loop through all the entries in the map. And for each entry, we'll clear the key value pair if it exists. So we can do that by writing prefs remove, and we want to search for the key. So E, which is each entry, and because this is a string, we've saved the key with the .name property, and that's done. So now back in settings notifier, we have reset settings. We can call the method here, clear preferences. Okay, so to a hot reload, let's click reset. Okay, so we've reset that back to the default. Do a hot restart. And awesome, we are still in the same position. So we have reset it and that's saved. Let's test. So let's put everything to false. Hot restart. And everything has remained in that position. So therefore, we can store the preferences and also reset them really easily.